All right, it's 3 p.m. here in Bangkok. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever Finland Talks webinar. My name is Gitta Hägglundvall. I work as a coordinator at the Embassy of Finland here in Thailand. This event is hosted by the Embassy of Finland in Thailand and the Thai-Finnish Chamber of Commerce. Just a couple of things here in the beginning to make everything run as smoothly as possible. Please keep your microphones muted and your videos off. Please have your pens and papers ready and save all the interesting questions to the end of the session. And let's get it started. So today we have an excellent expert from the University of Tampere, Dr. Essi Aarnio-Linnanvuori. Hello, Finland. This is Bangkok calling. The stage is yours, Dr. Essi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am very happy to be the guest and get to talk about the issues that interest me the most, and that is environmental and sustainability education in Finland. Just before I start my presentation, I just wish to introduce myself. As was already told, my name is Essi Aarnio-Linnanvuori, and I work as a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Tampere. I work currently in a project that is researching youth climate attitudes in 4 different European countries, and we wish to be developing some new ideas of how to implement climate change education in school. Before this current position, I have been working for quite a long time in WWF Finland as a senior education officer, so I have also a little bit more pragmatic background in educational cooperation. But let's begin with my presentation. Just a moment. Does it look correct?
I think in a short moment it will. Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. It's in the presentation mode already, so everything is great. Environment and sustainability education in Finnish schools was the topic that was asked, and I hope to give some kind of idea of the current situation and of some topics that are eagerly discussed and developed in Finland right now in the Finnish schools. But before we can go to the actual environmental and sustainability education, I might just want to tell you a couple of characteristics of the schools in Finland, which may be different than what they are in Thailand. I must admit I'm not very well aware of the Thailand school system. Anyway, Finnish school begins rather late in the childhood. So the kids go to obligatory basic education only when they're 7 years old. Before that, they often attend voluntary early education, but that is mainly based on play, free play, and exploring things from the kids' perspective. And then also preschools for the 6-year-olds is mainly free play and only short lessons, short periods of sitting down and discussing some serious issues. Children or young people, they stay in basic education, which is the same for everyone until they're 15 or when they turn 16. And after that, they can choose either the vocational school, which leads to a pragmatic profession, or an upper secondary school, which leads to more an academic path. What is the secret of the Finnish school system? It's been quite, it is internationally usually quite appreciated, and I think the main secret in the system is that we have very highly educated and well-trusted teachers. We appreciate the teachers quite a lot in Finland, and this obviously has brought some good results to the school system. The teachers plan their lessons quite independently. There is a national curriculum guidelines, and each school makes curriculum guidelines based on that for themselves, but each teacher has a freedom to do what he or she wants within those guidelines. Also, there is a rather relaxed atmosphere. Teachers and pupils are on the first name basis, and they can have sort of rather easygoing feeling in the group. There was a rumor in a couple of years ago, which I've met in several conferences, several meetings with international people, that said that the Finns wouldn't have any school subjects anymore, but this is not true. So we do have school subjects. We do have the same biology and geography and history and so on that other countries have as well. Environmental sustainability or ecological sustainability has been in the Finnish curriculum already for 36 years. And it's been integrated in each round again somehow when we have the curriculum guidelines renewed once in about 10 years. And it's built in there, and in the newest ones that were started in schools in 2016, it's quite well integrated into the underlying values. So more school subjects than before mention sustainability in the guidelines. And this means that basically all school subjects have to somehow teach sustainability issues. However, it's obvious that social sustainability has much more emphasis in the guidelines than the ecological sustainability. So there is still some work to do. And sustainability issues, environmental issues, they're not easy topics to teach. There's quite a lot of challenges for the teacher to teach these topics. They are first very wide and very interdisciplinary issues, and especially the subject teachers who have a speciality in, for example, history, they might not be so well aware of these interdisciplinary areas, and they might find it challenging to teach environmental history if the students ask some questions considering, for example, climate change or some issue that is more on the field of natural sciences. Also, there is a political and value-laden aspect in many of the environmental issues or sustainability issues, and this may be challenging for some teachers. Especially the natural sciences teachers often feel that when the value questions come to the classroom and you have to discuss them with the students, they're not on their strength area. There may have to be moving out of the comfort zone. There may be lack of time for planning because these are the complex issues, require cross-curricular cooperation, and also in some schools, unfortunately, the headmaster is not supporting this kind of work. This is luckily a problem that is happening less and less. So we have more and more headmasters that consider environmental education and sustainability education important parts of the education that they do in school. And of course, the pandemic we're having has been a pressure in schools and has led to many system changes, and anyway, it has been more stress for the teachers. So I think during the last year or so, environmental and sustainability education may not have been quite on the top of the list. It's been more like surviving the pandemic. Some themes that interest educators in Finland in the field of environmental and sustainability education may be these four. Climate change education is discussed quite a lot. Biodiversity education is coming, I think, maybe not discussed quite as much as climate change, but it's more and more interesting for the schools. Then there is this question of how to do the multidisciplinary implementation of environmental and sustainability education, how to cooperate between different school subjects. And outdoor education has definitely raised its head during the last year. I think that the pandemic it has created an interest in even such teachers that have not been so much going outdoors beforehand. Now they are more willing to try some outdoor experiments in school context. I will lift some perspectives of each of these four categories, but the main part may be this holistic climate change education model that I have created with some colleague researchers, Hannele Kantel, Sakari Tolppanen, and Anna Lehtonen a couple of years ago. This model is for planning holistic climate change education, and it is based on empirical and theoretical research. We read quite a lot of previous research papers, and based on those, we created this model to help teachers, headmasters, education policy officers, and so on plan climate change education. And as you can see, it is in the form of a bicycle. We could have made some just sort of arrows and boxes and so on, but we thought that this might be an easier way of remembering what is essential in this model. Let me just quickly present all the parts of the model. The first wheel, as you can see, is knowledge. And by knowledge of climate change, we mean quite wide knowledge about climate science and also social and ethical aspects. The knowledge that you need needs to be trustworthy, it needs to be current, and it needs to be interdisciplinary, that you can understand such a complex phenomenon as climate change is. On the other hand, knowledge alone is not enough. You need the other wheel, the second wheel, which in the model is thinking skills. We have quite a lot of climate information available, but what is the trustworthy information? What is the most current information? And what information is relevant for what I am doing in my life? That is something that you need critical thinking for. Also, climate change is a phenomenon that is extremely complex, and it also brings up the uncertainty of the future, which also requires something from your thinking skills. So two wheels in the bike, knowledge and thinking skills, and with those two wheels you can drive on. Of course, you cannot drive on a bike which has only two wheels. You need the structure. And the structure in this education model is values, identity, and worldview. And by this, we mean that in planning climate change education, the education needs to notice the value, identity, and worldview aspect in all the planning. This is not something that can be formed in a very quick manner, but we consider that it is also a basis for climate learning. Climate change education is not just about learning the knowledge, but it's also about reflecting the values that we have, the identities that we have, and also reflecting the concepts of well-being and sustainability, how they are seen in the society. Then to get the bike move, you need action, and the paddles of the bike in this model are picturing action. And by this, we mean that in climate change education, you shouldn't just learn about things, but you should also be able to try out things and practice the responsible behaviors and responsible action that is possible for the learner to do in the context of climate change. This can be in private life, everyday actions, such as sustainable consumption, or it can be collective, like in the school, making some new suggestions or progress in the school everyday behaviors, or in the society level, like these young people are protesting in the capital of Finland, in Helsinki, in 2019. And including the aspect of action brings life to the knowledge that we've learned in the lessons of climate knowledge. The bike also, it has the wheels, it has the structure, it has the pedals, but it also has a seat. And if you don't have a seat in a bike, it wouldn't be very comfortable to use it. You wouldn't probably go very far. And the seat in this model means motivation and participation. It's quite important that the learner understand how does climate change affect him or herself, and how he or she can make an impact on the climate change. So there has to be a connection to the issue. If it's just very distant, very difficult, and somewhere else, then you're not probably motivated to participate in solving the issue. The bike also has brakes, and the brakes in this model are picturing the operational barriers for climate action. These can be very humane, like desire for comfort or laziness, or they can be structural, like if I would want to go by public transport to my work every day, but there wouldn't be any bus line or train or anything between my home and my workplace. I wouldn't be able to do that. And we think that recognizing these barriers is quite essential for planning climate change education. Unless we recognize what is making us not to make those responsible choices, we cannot really discuss what we can do, and we cannot get over of any of those barriers if we don't sometimes lift them into the discussion. Two more parts in the bicycle models. One is hope and other feelings. And in Finland, it is quite common that young people feel anxiety or sorrow or some other more like dark feelings about climate change. And they are very worried about their future. And they're very worried of if the problem can be solved and how it can be solved. And empirical research has shown that hope is quite necessary for motivation and action. We don't mean optimism in the sense that we just sort of believe that everything will go well, but we mean more like hope based on taking part in the action ourselves. And this in the bike is the lamp. So when the lamp is on, then we have hope. And then when the lamp is off, then it's maybe too dark to bike on. And the last part of the model is the handlebar, which pictures in it future orientation. And climate change is quite a lot about the future, as is also other environmental and sustainability education. We are building a sustainable future. And in climate change education, we also hope to somehow create and compare different future scenarios. The young people, the learners, they need ability to tolerate the uncertainty of the future, but also they need somehow imagination and ability to picture a better future, a sustainable future. So this was the model, and what it's meant to applied, how it is meant to be applied is mainly for wide entities, so planning for wide entities such as the whole school year or a project lasting for several weeks or so on. So not for individual lessons, you wouldn't be able to combine all these elements in 45 minutes, I think. But when you're planning a bigger project, you can use this model to plan the education. It's also good for evaluating learning materials, learning programs, and recognizing what is neglected, possibly neglected in education. Now, some of the other issues before I end and we can start to discuss. Biodiversity education, as I mentioned, is a rising topic in the field of environmental education in Finland at the moment, I think. It's been a little bit neglected during the last few years, maybe because people have been so much interested in climate change education. But I think that now schools and daycare systems and so on, they're more and more interested in going back to the biodiversity. And one rather new aspect for biodiversity education is taking the mobile device outdoors and using them in biodiversity observations. In this kind of e-learning, you're not focusing on the device, but we are focusing on the environment, and the device is a tool for making the observations. Pupils can work quite independently or in small groups, and you have the questions and the tasks in the mobile device. They can take pictures, they can collect other data quite easily with the mobile device. This is something I've tried myself with several schools, and it seems to be working quite well. The kids are enthusiastic about making observations outdoors, and the mobile device is easier for them to use than pen and paper. Another way of using a mobile device in environmental and sustainability education is the Camerapen method that has become quite popular during the last 5 or maybe 5 years. It is a media education method where the camera is used to, in telling stories, different kind of stories. And movie is seen as a cognitive and constructive tool of learning. This method can be used in any school subject, so it's not just for environmental and sustainability education, but it's very beneficial there, because you can make a sense of the complicated issues, and you can participate yourself in making the observations, combining them, comparing them with others, and so on. Even you can make some kind of action or participation projects with the Camerapen method. One more or another topic quite current at the moment in Finnish education is multidisciplinary learning modules, which are obligatory in the current basic education curriculum guidelines. And this can be, of course, on any topic. It doesn't have to be environmental or sustainability education, but these are rather popular themes when creating these multidisciplinary modules. And this can be planned in very many different ways. It can be a theme week when the whole school concentrates on one topic, for example, climate change or biodiversity or something else, plastic pollution or something, for the whole week. And then they have different kind of workshops and visitors and lessons and independent research and so on. Or it can be a longer project where they are not concentrating on the issue all the time, but on certain lessons. Or perhaps it can also be a co-planned teaching period, so that a couple of teachers somehow from different school subjects, they teach the same topics on their own lessons, and then these issues somehow combine for the learners, because the different teachers are referring to the same issues, and they get the perspective of these different disciplines from like this history and geography or something else. And this can be really diverse, very, very participatory or teacher-led, depending of the context and the topic, and perhaps there may be a lot of variety in what the what the learners do during the period. This picture is from a school in Espoo, the second largest city in Finland, and they had a learning module about climate change, where they had workshops and visitors and some lessons, and they went on some field trips. But they also had this special group focusing on making artwork of sustainable food on the wall of the school kitchen, and for several days. And the students had an option of choosing one of these long-lasting workshops, or then going with the class on several short learning sessions. And one more topic, outdoor education. As I mentioned, it has been more popular during the last year. It seems, at least for me and many other experts on the area, because teachers wish to take the kids outdoors so that they wouldn't have to be indoors with the masks. They would have masks. They would have more fresh air, and less. It would be less likely to get an infection and so on. There is a long tradition for field trips in some natural sciences, such as biology and also history in Finland. But now, during the last maybe 10 years, there's been development of also math and Finnish outdoors. So especially the younger students may learn how to count and how to write and so on outdoors. Also, outdoor education adds more physical exercise during the day. It's not just sitting with the desk. It's moving around and exploring, and so you move around more, which is part of the holistic well-being, which we wish to create in schools. Also, outdoor education is quite important for creating a connection to nature. And this is one way of adding that to school days. So thank you for listening. Now I think we have some 15 minutes time for discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Essi, for a wonderful presentation. It was truly interesting. So now, audience, it's your turn. You can indicate your willingness to give a comment or ask a question by raising your hand or write into the chat box. And you may want to introduce yourself, and also feel free to have the video on if you feel for it. So do we have any questions for Dr. Essi? Here we have Mr. Marco, I think, was raising his hand. Am I right?
Yes, correct. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Marco Heinen, and I'm the founder of the Help the Ocean, and my organization, we are actually fighting on ocean plastic. And just to let you know, I'm actually really close originally from Tampere, originally from Vammala, and then I actually live in a Samonkatu beside the Kaleva Church in a really, really long time. So, and used to work in the Radio 957 over there in a little long time. But let's go back to the ocean problems. And for my part, actually, what I found it out in the really difficult part nowadays, that let's say many public figures, or let's say normal original people, like for myself, when I tried to get attention for the people to focus in what actually happened on the ocean. I worked on the ocean in 34 years. So actually I've seen every single part. I've been even in Antarctica in 2 years. So I saw all those bad parts over there. And I've been also in the Northern Atlantic on the Svalbard and all those places in my time on sea. So that was the reason why I want the world actually focusing what is actually happening in the ocean, because the fact is, ocean actually covers 70% the place what we call it as a home, which is Earth. And we human actually only covers about 25%. So ocean is actually really, really important part for our life. And I've been actually trying to contact to the certain few people, let's put it in that way, on the Finland as well, as the Finnish society. Since I was born in Finland, we've been actually really the country of the trees. We actually like to keep the environment as healthy as possible. And if something happened, we Finnish actually, we do correcting and we try to recover any possible way it is. And I know I've been following a few parts on also in the Finnish plastic society, and they try to do their best on the plastic recycle. And since I'm living on the Thailand in here now in 25 years already, I'm living on a rural area, which is northeast of Thailand called Ubarachthani. And it's actually really, really far on when it comes to the recycle items. And unfortunately, education is not yet focusing on it that much in here. I've been involved with the schools in actually quite higher level as well. And I try to little bit give them a hint what the Thai youth need to know about the environment. Because it is actually one of the biggest part on the future. We old people, we are not going to be here in the next 100 years. So in the young generation, they do need to rise up their voice and make what is in their mind. They have to just let it out. I'm one of those ones who don't like that shouting is the good way to approach the people. Yes, you get the attention, but make it very nice, make it very clear, based on the facts, and of course everybody's going to get the attention. Thank you for this time.
Thank you, Mr. Marko. I totally agree that it is very important when planning environmental and sustainability education to recognize those issues that are important for these schools and this location. So the same issues that are important here in Finland may not be the ones that are important in Thailand or in some other country. Oceans are something that are touch somehow all of us, and maybe a bit neglected in Finland because we don't really have the ocean. We only have the Baltic Sea, which is a small inner sea area. So they may be a bit neglected here, but I personally recognize that is a very important issue.
Thank you for the comment, and thank you, Dr. Essi. We have one request here in the chat box. If you could show one more time the bicycle model, if that is possible. And then we have one question coming up as well.
Here, I believe now should be out the bicycle model.
Thank you. And then we have Kunla Klang. You are raising your hand, so please feel free to ask your question.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. I am Nina Sukanya. I'm studying in political science major, and I am wanna work in Ministry of Education, and I think if we wanna I don't know, if we wanna about environment, we have to start with education. And yeah, I have a question that you say climate change or anything is caused by our habit and our rush, and I think it's about capitalism. And yeah, we live in capitalism world, and if capitalists still think plastic can make profit, how can we deal with it?
Thank you. You are raising very difficult issues. I think I agree with you. climate change and other global environmental issues are extremely complex. And personally, I think that we need both private actions, but we also need the structural changes in the society, legal changes and changes in how businesses work and how they are, what they are doing their profit for, and or with, and I think there is an interaction between like ordinary people, local decision makers, and then the national decision makers, and maybe also international decision makers. And we need all those levels to make change and somehow mitigate and adapt to the climate change. And this is something that we need to also recognize in education.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and thank you, Dr. Essi. Do we have any more questions for today? I don't see anything in the chat box. Yes, I saw one hand rising. Please feel free. Kun Fikrit, did you have something on your mind?
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes. Good
Can
afternoon.
You guys hear me? Yes.
Yes, we can.
My name is Fikri, and I am a former student from Joensuu University. I graduated from Finland. I lived before in Finland, and now I am in Thailand, and I am now working as a lecturer at Kirk University. I'm very interested in what Marco says about plastic reductions in Thailand. It's a very important issue, and it just started for not many long ago. And I think that the problem with environmental sustainability education in Finland and in Thailand is, I can say, like we can use. I want to ask Dr. Essi that how to strike a balance between economic concerns and environmental sustainability concerns in terms of agriculture and in terms of education as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, and good luck with your important work. This is a very difficult question, and I don't think I have a ready solution. I think one thing in education that we should somehow change is how we see sustainable development. And it's been a tradition to consider sustainable development and the parts of it as equal. But that obviously during the last 30 years, it hasn't brought us into a situation where we would really become sustainable. And let me see if I can now. I could share a picture from another presentation here. This is for a Finnish presentation I'm making next week, but the picture here is probably maybe familiar, and it presents the sustainable development areas or in a different way than they used to be, the three circles: ecological, societal, and economical sustainability, that were equally sized. But we actually, to really in time reach a sustainable society, we need to place the ecological sustainability as the basis, because without ecological sustainability there cannot be a sustainable society and cultural sustainability, and there cannot be a sustainable economy if we don't have the ecological basis structure there. So this is I agree that this is really, really difficult, and this is something that we we're all struggling with. We're struggling with it in Finland, and I'm sure you're struggling with it in Thailand. I don't know. Maybe Bhutan is I don't know if they have the kind of agreement in the society that this is the way it works. But to be honest, with the more than 20 years experience in this field, I don't think we have any other option than somehow lifting the importance of ecological and societal sustainability more, and then trying to build a kind of economy that doesn't consume more resources than there are on the planet. Let's see if I can stop sharing. Yes. I hope this somehow answers to your question.
Thank you for the question and thank you for the answer as well. And then we have one last question in the chat box. At what grade the sustainability education starts?
Sustainability education in Finland starts already in the voluntary early education. They're actually very eager to do sustainability education in early education, but that is voluntary. It's mainly play, but it's more like built in the everyday life and going outdoors, exploring the neighborhood woods or the neighborhood stream or lake or whatever. So that is basically, it starts from when you are 1 year old. Then when you go to school, there is something built in the curriculum in each year. So all the time you go to school, you have sustainability education, which is somehow planned and implemented in a method that is suitable for that age, which is in question. And it doesn't end. The universities, for example, in Finland are just now building sustainability modules that are going to be obligatory for every student, not depending of the field where they're studying.
Thank you so much. The time is running out, so it's time to wrap up this session. Thank you, Dr. Essi. This was excellent. Thank you, Thai-Finnish Chamber of Commerce, for your kind collaboration. And thank you all the wonderful participants. And I can see that the ambassador of Finland to Thailand, His Excellency, Mr. Jyri Järviaho, is here as well. Would you like to wrap up our first Finland Talks session?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gitta. And thank you very much for Dr. Essi Aarnio-Linnanvuori for such an interesting talk today. And this is a crucial issue for all of us, I suppose, and especially including children into all of these issues in the early age is such an important thing. And hopefully later on we can work with Thailand on incorporating environmental education into Thai curriculum as well. So that's our hope. So thank you so much. It was an excellent talk today, and thank you also for Thai-Finnish Chamber of Commerce in helping out us today. Thank you from my part, and thank you also for all interesting questions today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And please follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Finnish Embassy Bangkok to get the latest update of the upcoming events. The next Finland Talks webinar will actually be arranged already on June 8th. And I very much hope to see you all there. Thank you, Dr. Essi. Wishing you all a great day ahead and a great rest of the week. See you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ขอบคุณครับ บ๊ายบาย
ขอบคุณครับ เจอกันใหม่ครับ Goodbye. Thank you.
สวัสดีครับขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you. Bye bye.